Pump it up, pump it up.
Trae.
Come on, come on.
With Trae.
Pump it up, pump it up.
It's the day with Trae.
This is the day to gain inspiration, to make a positive change in the nation. We're inviting you to partake in conversation, to raise your vibration. It's the day that we will all celebrate all of our peace that make this thing elevate. Watch the negative fade away, cause it's the day with Trae.
Grand Rising, everyone. Welcome to the Day with Trae. I get to welcome you to a terrific-filled Tuesday. Really excited because anytime my bro Deaunte Damper's in the building, you know it's going to be definitely terrific. And he's joining me today. We're going to be talking all about We Live in Color and their season kickoff. I'm really excited that he's here. Anytime he's here, you know it's going to be a good time. But also, y'all know it's the top of the show, and this is where you get to have a good time. Go ahead and share this show with folks who you feel could benefit from our daily dose of dopeness right here on The Day with Trae. If you can't watch our show, you know we got you covered, y'all, because you can always listen to us anywhere you find your favorite podcast. Just search Converge Media Network and The Day with Trae. You'll find us on your favorite platform. Now, before I get into it with Deaunte, I got to say there's something so special. Y'all have heard me talk about this last week about being in community, and why is because of the relationships you build. Now, it's interesting because sometimes if you give it time, you may be on opposite ends of the spectrum, but when you start to find shared values with other people in community, you really do find a pathway to move forward in unity. And let's not forget that unity is a part of community. It really is about us being together, being united, being one. That's really what we are. And so I'm grateful that there's a lot of folks out here in the Pacific Northwest, and specifically the Seattle metro area, that understand this need for us to be unified. Now, a lot of folks are talking about all of these different rules and executive orders, all this stuff coming out of the federal government. And if we haven't learned anything, the one thing I want to impart on you today is the need for you to be unified in collective voice. That is how you move bills forward. When for bills to become law, that's how you move the governor of our state to do something when it comes to executive orders. That's how you move things forward that are necessary for your community. Now, I ain't telling you what to push on. I'm telling you that community collective voice has always had such a strong sense of power. And when you wield it properly, y'all, you can begin to shape the city, the county, the state you live in. So it's reflective of your needs. And that is why it's so important to be in community. Sometimes it's an issue that brings you together. Look at the ways that those who have been slain by police brutality have come together. There are so many networks of this national kind of cohort of families who have all suffered through that kind of tragedy. They understand each other's collective pain, and it brings them into a collective voice that allows them to unify on, police reform, on gun reform. And we see the benefits of that hitting our states, hitting our country. And it's beautiful because through what they had to go through with losing a family member, through that pain, through that trauma, through that situation or circumstance, they realized that it was important for them to come together and have a collective voice. And I use that as just one example. We see this with so many different examples. Survivors of domestic violence, those who have gone through addiction and recovery. We see a lot of different life circumstances bringing people together. So maybe it's not that you're always growing up with these folks, or maybe you have the same ethnic background, but there's something that you share that allows you to collectively unify your voices. And there's nothing more powerful than collective voice, y'all. So find that thing for you. If there's some way that you've been impacted through a life circumstance, through the loss of a family member, through your own personal lived experience, bring your voice into a collective, y'all. This is what I get so pumped about. It's not just about advocacy. It's about putting lived experience at the forefront of changing our state, our city, our county, our neighborhood, our country to make it what we need it to be. So definitely tap in. And after this short break, y'all, I get to talk to Deaunte Damper coming up next, somebody who's definitely tapped in to so many different realms of advocacy. And I'm so excited that he's here to talk all about his show right here on Converge Media, We Live in Color, and their phenomenal season kickoff. Y'all don't want to miss this. Stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae.
Listen up, Puget Sound.
This is a call to my fellow Black business owners.
It's your girl, Vasa Gordon.
It's your boy, Eric Calligraphy, and I know times are tough out here.
Especially for our restaurants, dude. I already know you're feeling the weight.
But let me be clear, we're not going to stand by and watch our community struggle.
Here at Back to Vasa and Converge Media, we know Black businesses are the heartbeat of our community.
We bring the culture, the flavor, and the soul, and we need you to keep on thriving.
We need you. So that's why we're opening our platforms to you. Whether it's telling your story, shining a light on your challenges, grabbing resources for you to know about. Dude, we even want to help bring more customers through your doors.
Man, we got you. Are you a restaurant owner trying to keep your lights on? A new business fighting to make your mark? Whatever your story, we want to hear it and help.
In order to make that happen, we need for you to head on over to whereweconverge.com/support Black business and let us know what's happening. Let Back to Vasa and Converge Media amplify your voice and help drive traffic to your business.
Man, don't wait. Converge Media is here to uplift Black business in the Puget Sound. So man, make sure you visit whereweconverge.com/support Black business and let's rise together.
Here on Back to Vasa, it's always been important to me that we uplift stories from across the region and that no matter where you live in the nation, you never have to miss a moment of the show as we continue to highlight the beauty, excellence, and resilience of our communities across the Pacific Northwest. Why? Because representation matters. So no matter where you live, be it the Central District or Centralia, Portland or Pullman, or anywhere across the country, I encourage you to join me on this Back to Vasa journey by downloading the free Fox Local app on your phone or smart TV as we continue to elevate the very best in our communities. Empowering the community one connection at a time. ConnectWA is your partner in finding the support you need. Download the app today and experience the difference that a connected community can make. Learn more at eec-wa.org/connectwa-app.
Welcome back, everyone, to The Day with Trae. I get to welcome my bro, Deaunte Damper, to the show. What up?
What's up, sis?
How are you?
I am blessed. I cannot complain. It's
Yeah,
a terrific Tuesday, and
Yeah.
I'm with the queen.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, you're looking real good. Your skin is looking glowing.
I am
honey.
feeling good.
Yeah,
I
good.
think one of the things about it is, and I was listening to what you were saying about community. And so many people can go around and say, I do this and this and that for community. But the main thing that is really important is how much we take care of each other.
Yeah.
If I'm being divisive towards you or your existence, or if I'm not moving right, I have to give you some community care so you can find a space to really show up in an authentic space. But because you can't do it divisive. And we went through this 2022. But it's so important. And I think that every time when we sit on the couch, it's like, wow, look how far we came because we had to give each other care.
Yeah.
And I just, every time I'm around you, I'm just in awe of just how you do what you do. Miss Emmy nominated, do what you do. Miss been doing it before you could say do what you do. So I'm just really just happy to be here. And I love coming to the studio and watching you because at the end of the day, as much as I know I'm a good host, but I look at what you do and say, wow, I know that I could be able to, I want to be that immaculate. You are incomparable, and I appreciate you.
Oh my God. You always have the best words for me. It's so beautiful because you're absolutely right. I thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
I receive it and I appreciate you for sharing that. And I would say that, when I talked about advocacy, I say this all the time, it's on you, not in you.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell when it's in you, not on you, and you can tell when it's just on someone.
Yeah.
Because it can hop off of them.
Absolutely.
But when it's in you, you really are driven by something that is sometimes is the hardest thing to explain. So before we get into We Live in Color, I've got to talk about you and your wide ways of being an advocate, being engaged, being involved. You are always doing something. I mean, I know both of us, we know we both be always doing something, but I get to talk about you today. You're always doing something. Tell me why it's so important for you to be such an advocate of mental health, arts and culture, LGBTQ plus issues, like all of these different wide varieties of ways that you continue to contribute to community.
Because there was a point of time in life where I felt like I could be myself in one place and not in the other. I've watched so many friends lose their lives to addiction. I've watched so many of my friends lose their lives to suicide. I've also watched my friends lose their lives to the abuse that community members have impacted them with, but they don't want to do the work. I think that why I do what I do is because I don't think about why I do it. I think about how we can do it and become it. We can become everything that we've dreamed of. We just have to stick together. Not everyone has enough humility to understand that it's not just one person that can do those things. It's us. And honestly, like, it also comes from a person that had their foot one foot in and one foot out. People are like, oh, I just love the work that you've been doing over the years. Well, every year I wasn't good. Every year my foot was not in the greatest space. You could be raised under people that only want one thing from you and not want you to really grow. And it's like, no, I am working in the areas of LGBTQ issues, but you think that's the only thing I can talk about?
Right.
I mean, yes, I have been impacted by substance use, but at the same time, we do overcome those things. And how do we create spaces for those people? So when people ask why I do what I do, it's because I want to make sure that all of us are prioritized. It's not for the money. It's not for any of those things, because trust me, honey, I'm still broke. Where's the camera? It has everything to do about those things. And, it also leads into, some of the work that you've done, which has been so powerful, especially when it came down to the 100 Days of Action, 100 Days of Peace. That also led to me now, and I have not said this anywhere else, so I'm going to say it right here in your studio today. I am now the Community Engagement Specialist for the King County Regional Office of Gun Violence Prevention for King County Public Health. But it's also because it's time to start being that bridge. And I will come in here and unpack some more layers on what that position states. But keep in mind, everything that I say here is on the behalf of myself and not King County. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, I'll say this, thank you for sharing that exclusively here on The Day with Trae. We got the exclusive, y'all, from Deaunte today. But I also get to say that what I love is that your energy resonates in community in ways that allow for you to also be recognized. I mean, you mentioned me as, Emmy nominee, but you too have been contributing to things that I see are Emmy nominated too. So I get to give you kudos on that. And you just recently got an amazing award as well from community. So, people recognize and acknowledge that even through it, there's something that constantly drives you. Right? Even when it was like, man, this foot over here is shaky. Y'all don't know what I'm dealing with when I go home. Whatever. The way that you were showing up was still impacting people in a positive way. And I love that you can talk about it so vulnerably and also so humbly. Like, no, it's not about me.
It's not.
And ain't none of this really in it for the money. This, right? We're setting new standards when it comes to community media. And this is why We Live in Color is so vital for our community. So I know you're excited about this upcoming season. Tell us a bit about what you got going on.
Girl, this season is so important because, and I'm sorry to get loud, but either way, we are dealing in a time right now where we are on the menu.
Yep.
There is no mistake about it. Honestly, some of us ain't even on the menu. We getting put out. But we're not doing that. We started this show. We're showing people we're not backing down. We're prioritizing folks. We did it the second season, and we're not backing down this year. We're doubling down. And we're doubling down on our access to community members. One of our first sit-down interviews will be with Beyonce St. James, who is the first Black trans USA, who is from Spokane. And we're going to get more of her story. We have author Luther Hughes, and you know Luther. And you get to hear his story from someone that's from the South End, you know, as well as Dr. Renee McCoy and a host of others. But before we begin any of that, this Thursday, you know, me and Eric and Phil were talking about, like, what can we do to prioritize voices? And I can do a sit down and ask people about their lives, but we need to figure out policy. How is policy impacting us? What do we need to do to get active? What organizations are leading that? So before you know how we live in color, you need to know that we live in policy. Policy in Color is the name of the episode. And Policy in Color. Wow. You need to also look at the intersections. This is also for some of our white allies from our community. This is how you can get involved. You will hear from the wonderful Malika Lamont from Vocal Washington. You will hear from Moni Tep, who has a new campaign role over there at Lavender Rights Project, as well as Taylor Farley from Queer Power Alliance. These are community folks who have been out there organizing, but also still need you. We know the session ends in 15 days. So what are we gonna do? Yes, it may end, but it's just beginning. We need to continue to hold these folks accountable, and also to make sure that we're put in place, not erased.
Well, you know what? I really enjoy this because I think it's so vital for our community members to have direct understanding of how to be engaged. But oftentimes that means we need to bring the education and the pathways directly to them. This idea that, oh, you just got to be informed. You just got to read more. You just got to look at this podcast or listen to this thing or it's almost not fair because people are still freaking trying to survive, bro.
They're trying to survive. And keep in mind, season 1, what did we do? We did a special for the 37th district. And it was so important this is something that we were already talking about on the back end, but it was so important for us to make sure that queer voices were heard in that space. And above all else, our community folks, the viewers that tune in every week, wanted to know how we were being supported. And I think that the best way for us to be able to start off 2025 with season 3 is, where are we at in policy? Because I don't want to celebrate Pride if my community members will be being erased through these policies, right? And it's not just about queer lives. We are also talking about prioritizing Black and brown folks. We see some things about reparation. You may be hearing a little bit about that on Thursday. So,
well, look, you clearly have a lot going on, and it's so necessary because you're filling space that really is unique to not only LGBTQ experience and queer lives, but to all of us. And that's what I love about how you approach this, right? Is that, yes, let's elevate these voices, but everybody, these are issues that everybody should be caring about. When we think about, Washington State being a leader, I love to think of Washington State as a leader in the nation. But that means that we do have to lead with compassion. And particularly for, lived experience that is not our own, for different groups that are not of our own, how do we stay engaged? So I love that you're giving people a direct way to do so. But I also want to say to you that I appreciate your candidness with these issues. You're talking about people understanding politics. It does not stop with the legislative session.
It doesn't.
When you have literally voted to put somebody in a seat, you got to keep them informed about what's important to you. So talk a bit about that continued voice carrying over past legislative session.
And I think that one of the things that's really important about carrying our voices in this space is you have to be able to show them who you are, show them what your community looks like. Most of the folks, when one of the hardest things to do was to go out last year when I was doing like canvassing work with Vocal and having to get people to prioritize folks who are losing their lives over overdose. And also having to get even some of our white allies to realize, like, hey, this has been racist. You just lost your son over fentanyl. My uncle's locked up for the 3 structure outlaw over crack. This has been impacted my community. So it's an important conversation to have. You will have tough conversations, but at the end of the day, my ancestors didn't come far for me to be like, okay, you can have it. No, I need to know every little detail on how you plan on handling me and the kids and maybe my children's children's children. So I really honestly, I would also encourage some of our folks to reach out to former legislative folks it is really important to make sure that we continue to uplift, especially our Black and brown folks. I know Jamila Taylor I have reached out to her through email, like, hey, sister, am I Representative Jamila Taylor? I reached out to her like, hey, sister, am I doing this right? Because I don't. How I'm talking here on this on this platform is exactly how I talk when I'm out there in Olympia. And I'm not switching that. So also make sure you stay authentic. And for all my Black and brown folks, above all else, don't let them take your story and tokenize it for theirs.
That's right.
You have to allow to teach someone to be an ally to you is make sure that you affirm yourself. Don't let them write your name in let them write a little liner note in your story. Make sure that you are prioritizing, your family is prioritizing those stories too.
It's so important. And I've been saying this for a long time. We do, and shout out to A. Philip Randolph Institute. I mean, they've been doing amazing work to organize African American Legislative Day. But I always want to tell folks, it's not just about one day. And, advocacy is about elevating things that are a part of you or that you're connected to in some way where you want to be that ally. Like, I'm not a member of LGBTQ, but my favorite uncle definitely was, and I always carry his legacy forward with me. Holiday.
What's your favorite memory?
Oh my goodness. When you talk about my uncle Holiday, baby, I'm gonna tell you one thing he showed me through how he showed up all the time was the boots, the belt, and the bag.
What's that?
Okay, so you gotta have it matching, right? The boots, the belt, and the bag need to be matching. And I promise you that so much of where I glean a lot of my fashion sense from, it goes all the way back to him. He was just so special in my life. And for me, the way that he left us of his own volition, of his own hand, I am there with you. When I had 2 family members die of suicide. So when I talk about, like, this is not just, we're talking about the intersectionality here. Yes, he was homosexual and lived his life like that. But he also struggled with alcoholism and depression, right? And so if I can't talk about that for real, and I can't carry that forward so that my sons understand this is a part of our DNA, we cannot erase that. We need to embrace it and understand how to be healthy here. So all of these issues are important. So I just love how you do that in a way that brings these intersections to the forefront. But of course, you got this special coming up this Thursday, and the show is gonna be kicking off. You gotta let folks know how they stay tapped in with you and how they make sure they are on that special Thursday and for the launch of the season when that happens too. Let them know.
Hi everybody, Deaunte Damper here, and this Thursday we got Policy in Color, We Live in Color special, where we'll be talking about how we protect, educate, and build our LGBTQ community members with policy, okay? And make sure you tap in with all streaming platforms on Converge Media at 8 p.m. And make sure, if you have anything that you want me to know, please feel free to email me at deaunte@whereweconverge.com. And above all else, we cannot do this without each other.
Wow.
Did I do good, girl?
Oh, you did it. You did it. I love you and appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you
Anytime, this is always a good vibe for us. We can always get to kiki in on this.
Okay, I might have to get you to come on a special.
There we go. I'm here for it.
Okay,
You tell me when and where.
Maybe we can do a boots and bag and have like a fashion show. I'm just saying, girl.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Let's lift up that legacy.
I love you, girl.
Love you. Y'all, you knew it was going to be a terrific Tuesday when Deaunte was stepping in the building. Of course, I get to wrap all this terrificness up right after this short break. Stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae.
In Seattle, it's more than just coffee. It's community. At the station, we brew more than just your favorite cup. We brew connection. From Beacon Hill to Columbia City, we're a space for artists, activists, and everyone in between. A place to gather, create, and simply be. Whether you need a quiet place to work, a lively spot to meet friends, or just a moment to unwind, find your place at the station. More than coffee, it's home. Visit us in Beacon Hill or Columbia City. The Station, where community happens.
Truth Talks is the hottest streaming show on TV. Catch all the truths about pop culture to politics and today's biggest stars.
Why tiptoe through life?
Monday through Friday, live at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, and again at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific on Fox Soul.
Ready to be intentional with your spending? Whether you're gifting it or using it for yourself, the Buy Black card allows you to shop at many different Black-owned businesses across the greater Seattle area, like Love a Latte, Dramer Ice Cream, Motis Beauty Supply, Pizza by Ruffin, The Spa House by Queen Care, and so many more. You can see the full list of participating businesses when you sign up for your Buy Black card at intentionalist.com. And thanks to our friends at BECU, you'll save 20% when you load your card. Spend like it matters with the Buy Black card.
Africatown Plaza is our latest affordable housing development project. It's 126 units of affordable housing over community commercial space.
It's the first time in my career, and I've been doing this for 10 years, that I was able to design for people who look like me.
Africatown Plaza is a beacon of hope.
Africatown Plaza is a love letter to the community.
Wow, y'all. Welcome back to The Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. Huge shout out to my guest and my brother, man, for real, in community, Deaunte Damper, for joining me today. I'm a bit in my feels, y'all, because we've talked about it publicly, but, you know, there's nothing like overcoming yourself and your own lower nature conditionings that keep you rooted in emotionality and not being able to see the fruit for the trees. And I just gotta say, you know, the relationship I have with Deaunte really reflects that in my life in such a deep, profound, personal way. And so every time he's here, I'm always reminded of that. And so I encourage you today, if there are folks that maybe you wrote off in your life, maybe, you know, you had a tiff with them years ago, you never made up, somebody you need to forgive, somebody who you thought was on the other side of something, and you never gave them a chance to really share their perspective of why they moved that way, or to share that they were apologetic for moving that way. I encourage you. Life is really, like we say life is too short. I don't necessarily believe that life is too short, but I do want to tell you this. It is too important for us to be unified than for us to be divided. So please reach out to those folks in your life who maybe you haven't talked to in years, maybe a family member, a friend, a neighbor. It's actually worth it, y'all, to build something that's more solid, or at least part ways in a way that isn't harmful to either of you, creating a true win-win situation. I'm so grateful he was here. And of course, y'all need to tap in this Thursday, 8 p.m. right here on Where We Converge and all of our streaming platforms, so y'all can take a view at Policy in Color with Deaunte Damper. Thanks so much for joining me today. Y'all know I'll be back tomorrow. Until then, at 11 a.m., y'all. Peace.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.